that's when I got into Sonic again. And mind you, I was not a YouTuber for Sonic at the time. Anime was becoming very popular. I mean, a lot of people were like talking about anime. Anime used to be seen as this thing that only weirdos like. But about 2021, a lot of people that wouldn't even fathom if in their brain to like watch anime got into anime. I thought to myself, maybe there's something there for me. Like maybe I will catch interest into that. I remember this one scene from Sonic X. Mr. Stewart, the substitute teacher, kind of pulled out a little device out of his pocket and inside Chris Thorndyke's house. Kind of looks like this, like a little black box with the red LED. And in my brain, I remember that being a bomb. And I was like, there's no way that this was a Sonic TV show. There's no way. Welcome to the Hog Cast episode number 1. And today is going to obviously be the first episode of the podcast that I'm introducing to the channel 𝐼𝐧𝐬. And I'm now classified as 𝐼𝐧𝐬, no longer 𝐼𝐧𝐬XX. As you know, for the longest time since I started this YouTube channel, I was called 𝐼𝐧𝐬XX, but I'm dropping the X's, so it's now going to be 𝐼𝐧𝐬. And if you cannot tell, I have 2 camera angles on me, so I guess I'm gonna just look at this one for now. But yeah, so this episode is going to be a introductory episode to kind of get like acclimated or used to talking, randomly to a microphone. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about why I decided to begin this podcast and our future plans for the my future plans for the channel, and what's gonna happen, all the good stuff. So yeah, this episode is basically going to be a introduction, just to kind of like get the podcast, to get the ball rolling, because the first things first, I don't have a set schedule for the podcast quite yet. We're still trying to figure out when exactly, how often, all that good stuff. I might have a co-host on the podcast. I know like right now I'm doing it by myself and it's just going to be me yapping for like about an hour. But I do intend on having guests on the podcast in the future, hopefully starting with the next podcast. But here's the thing. So right now we don't have like a set schedule quite yet for the podcast. So we're not exactly sure when the next one's going to come out. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month. We're not too entirely sure when the next episode is going to come out for the pod. But of course, we'll keep all of you guys posted, anybody that's on YouTube. And we are going to be releasing the podcast on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because I feel like we can reach a more broader audience if we push out to other things. Now, I want to talk about the podcast name that I chose. So the Hog Cast. So essentially this podcast, I want to talk a lot about Sonic the Hedgehog, and I also want to talk about the acting in games, stuff like that. We might, sidetrack to other things that aren't quite Sonic the Hedgehog. So I do want to set that expectation going forward. This first episode, that's what this is for, so I can kind of talk about what might happen, the do's, the don'ts, things like that. So of course we might get sidetracked, but not too far. Now of course in the future, because I feel like every YouTuber eventually has to branch out to other things that aren't quite the same thing as the type of content they make. For example, me, Sonic the Hedgehog, eventually I'm going to have to make other content that it is not Sonic the Hedgehog, if that makes any sense. But of course, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And if we end up doing that, I am most likely going to have to rename the podcast to something else. But of course, this is something that basically almost every content creator goes through. only because like things don't last forever, unfortunately. But as far as Sonic the Hedgehog, you guys already know that I love Sonic the Hedgehog a lot, and I make content around Sonic the Hedgehog. So, anyways, we're gonna talk about my YouTube, I guess, journey and career or whatever, like how I basically um, ended up to the position that I am right now. And to be honest, like 2 years ago, if let's just say somebody were to tell me, "Hey, Migs, you're gonna be a Sonic the Hedgehog content creator that's even semi-successful," I would have laughed at you. Like straight up, I would have laughed at you, and I would not believe you. Because 2 years ago, frankly, I did not care at all about Sonic the Hedgehog. I kind of just So let me actually back up, like I guess to when I was like a kid. So the first Sonic game that I played was Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut, and it was for the GameCube. However, I had a Wii, and the Wii was retro compatible with GameCube games, meaning you could put a GameCube disc inside the Wii and it will play the game basically. So we bought Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut. It was the GameCube version, but I played it on the Wii. And I remember I had a Dreamcast controller, which was pretty neat. I think I still have it somewhere. One of these days, I'm gonna make a whole video with all the retro gaming devices that I have. I think that would be pretty cool. But of course, if you're watching to this point, let me know in the comments if you would like to see that, because I'm more than happy to make a video about that. Especially as a content creator, it's kind of ubiquitous, looking for ideas to make videos on. And boom, see, just like that, I came out with the video idea. Like, that's pretty cool. But anyway. So yeah, the first Sonic game I played was Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut, and that basically is Sonic Adventure 1, but it was kind of like remastered in a way, if you want to even call it that, for the GameCube, and you were able to play it on the Wii, then Nintendo Wii. And I remember getting that thing when I was like maybe 7 or 6 years old. We bought the Wii it was a family Wii, so my mom is the one that bought it for me and my brothers, and it was yeah, I remember getting that thing like not long after it came out. I think it came out like in 2006, and I remember us getting our Wii in 2007 or 8 or something. Like, we got it relatively when it came out. We always wanted one too, because we would visit our family members a lot, and they had a Wii, and it was like the most fun thing ever. Like, we'd play Wii Sports and all that good stuff. So of course, like that, I guess that's primarily what introduced me into the Sonic franchise as a kid. However, as a kid, I was like, I think the first. It's not the first Sonic game, but then I ended up playing like things like Sonic Advance, because I think shortly after my mom bought me a Game Boy Advance for my birthday, and I remember playing a lot of Sonic games on there. I don't know, like, my memory of that is very vague. You know, like, I don't remember playing those games on the Game Boy Advance too much. However, I do remember having them. Like, I have them somewhere in my house somewhere. Like, I will one of these days, like I said again, make whole videos about that. So anyways, so moving forward, I kind of like stopped being a Sonic fan when I got to middle school, only because here's the thing. Growing up, like, I kind of really cared about my image. I cared about, not liking things that children might like for example, Sonic. I mean, right now, obviously, I don't care. I run a whole YouTube channel that's about Sonic, so you can imagine I really don't like care right now. But growing up from middle school all the way up until maybe I was like 20 years old, I really cared about my image. I really wanted to like adult a lot faster than I did. I was really obsessed with becoming an adult, and now that I'm an adult, I'm like, wait a minute, this shit sucks. And which, by the way, guys, this podcast is gonna be explicit. There's gonna be explicit or strong language. This podcast is uncensored in that aspect, so I do want to set that expectation in this episode for that as well. That hey, we might be throwing like an F-bomb or like the S word, something minor. I would say minor like that. However, we're not going to get into anything that might be racial or religious or anything like that. So you can definitely expect for us not to get into that territory. But however, we're going to be cussing here and there. It's going to happen. Like when you're in a conversation with somebody, it just comes out, right? It just comes out. I mean, and it's a podcast. It's a podcast. That's what people came here for the authenticity, for the unfilteredness, I guess, or the what's it called, the transparency. That's why people watch podcasts, and that's why I started this podcast, because I want to be more about me. I want the content that I make to kind of reflect off me. I kind of want to put a face to my brand. That is why I want to create a podcast, also to network with other content creators and engage more with the community, which is I would say definitely fair. However, again, like I said, hopefully you guys are enjoying this first podcast. I know it's gonna be a bit boring, mainly because we're just introducing ourselves. But anyways, let's continue on with my Sonic lore, I guess, if you want to call it that. But so around middle school, like when I was in 7th or 8th grade, I really got out of the Sonic whole fan base, fandom, whatever you want to call it, because I was really insecure about my image around other people. I didn't want to be seen liking a certain thing. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be badass, if that makes any sense. So I've been out of Sonic fairly for a long time. I would say about from 2012. That's when I got into middle school, all the way until 2020, or 21, I'm sorry. That's when I got into Sonic again. And mind you, I was not a YouTuber for Sonic at the time. I was a fashion YouTuber, like another type of YouTuber, but I wasn't like remotely a Sonic fan, nor I was a Sonic tuber, nothing like that. So fast forward to 2021, that's when anime was becoming very popular. I mean, a lot of people were like talking about anime. Anime used to be seen as this thing that only weirdos like. But about 2021, a lot of people that wouldn't even fathom it in their brain to like watch anime got into anime. So I thought to myself, maybe there's something there for me. Like maybe I will catch interest into that and finally become an interesting person. Because mind you, I was a relatively boring person. All I cared about was wearing the latest designer stuff and having the latest iPhone, things like that. Going from that to becoming a Sonic fan, honestly, is very wholesome. I would think so. But of course, that's just my thought process on that. Anyways, anime was becoming very popular in 2021. A lot of people were talking about it. People that would have not expected to want to get into anime were getting an anime. So I thought to myself, maybe this is my shot at this. Maybe I will like it after all. And I think at the time I was like dipping my toes into like different animes and stuff like that. Because my brothers, they've always been very big on anime. They're very knowledgeable on all types of animes and things like that. So, of course, they're the ones that I went to, for recommendations. But I just couldn't personally get into it. I watched things from One Piece to Dragon Ball, different Dragon Balls that were out there. And not that they're bad, they're actually very good. I just personally never got into that. So, and then I remembered in my head, because let's back up. Let's go back in time for a little bit. So, as kids, I think I was like about 7 or 5 years old, something like that. Me and my brothers watched a Sonic anime. It was Sonic X, and that story honestly had a lot of elements to it that seemed as dark, or not exactly for kids. I was like, wait a minute, was this actually a kids show? And then I remembered this one scene from Sonic X. Mr. Stewart, the substitute teacher, kind of pulled out a little device out of his pocket, and inside Chris Thorndyke's house. Kind of looks like this, like a little black box with the red LED. And in my brain, I remembered that being a bomb, and I was like, "There's no way that this was a Sonic TV show. There's no way." So I kind of wanted to, like, my curiosity kind of got the best of me, and I kind of wanted to see what that was about. So I ended up watching Sonic X on Tubi, the English dub, because the whole reading captions, I'm not too fond of that. Anyways, Tubi is basically an app where you can watch movies and TV shows for free. And by the way, we're not a sponsor of Tubi. However, Tubi, if you're watching this and you want to somehow sponsor us, definitely let me know. Hit me up. But anyways, so I watched the entire series, and I watched the first episode. Mind you, I was not a Sonic tuber. I wasn't a Sonic fan either, but I watched the first episode, and I believe it was the one with Sam Speed and Sonic going into the Earth dimension, that sort of thing, and falling in a swimming pool. But it was even just that first episode, it kind of caught my attention. It caught my eye, and I was very subconscious about watching Sonic X. I think I watched it on my phone, and I was like kind of side-eyeing to make sure that nobody knew what I was watching, because I didn't want people to know that I was watching a Sonic series. But mind you, I was still in my I think I'm cool phase in life or whatever. And I really feel like Sonic took me out of that. And that's one thing I love a lot about Sonic. And I watched episode 1, and I liked it a lot. So I ended up watching the second episode. I kind of wanted to watch the series up until that one scene with Mr. Stewart pulling out that device from his pocket, because I was really curious. I wanted to see what that was about. So I was kind of like locked in. So I was watching episode after episode, and I think it was episode 3 or 2, not 3, I think. That's when Knuckles the Echidna's first appearance was. And instantly, no homo, but I fell in love instantly. Like, I think it was a scene where Knuckles and Amy were in a sewer trying to figure out where they were. And that's when I first noticed Knuckles the Echidna, even though he was in the first episode and I didn't catch it. But that's when I fell in love with Knuckles. And yeah, right away I had my favorite character, and I just love Knuckles throughout the whole series. Especially his dynamic with Knuckles and Rouge. And that's when I fell in love with the whole Nux-Ooze ship, that sort of thing. But yeah, so basically I watched episode after episode up until that scene, and I found out that that device in Mr. Stewart's pocket, and I barely learned this like recently too, but the device that was in Mr. Stewart's pocket was a microphone. It wasn't a bomb. It was a microphone. But still, like, it could have easily, especially as a kid, been like misconstrued or whatever as a bomb. And that's the whole thing that I made a YouTube video about this. I think I titled it like, this made me a Sonic fan. Like, very simple. If you want to check it out, I'll try my best to link it down below. If not, you can find it on my channel. But yeah, that's that's what made me a Sonic fan, basically. That's what got me to watch the show, and that's what got me to like lock in as a Sonic fan. It wasn't until I got to the second season of Sonic X. That's when I started. That's when I bought my first Sonic figure, and that was a Knuckles 4-inch Jax figure. I still have it. I still have it in the box, sealed. So that was the first. That's when I locked in. That's when I was like, you know what? I'm a Sonic fan, and I'm gonna be fully open about it. I'm gonna tell my family. I'm gonna do all that. I mean, they see the Sonic plushies. Like, you can't fake it. Like, because before I had none of this stuff. Like, I had nothing, and now it's like I have a whole wall full of Sonic figures and Sonic plushies, things like that. So yeah, I finished Sonic X, and mind you, I still was not a Sonic YouTuber. This was about maybe September of 2021, and I finished Sonic X, and I had that feeling inside of me that, when you like something so much, but it's over and there's no more of it, but you want more, but you can't get more because there's no more of it. I think it did like in 2003 or 4. I wanted more of it, but there was no more. So that's when I decided to. That's when I went to Sonic fan made content and other Sonic content. So that's when I started watching Sonic YouTubers and stuff like that, and buying even more Sonic merch. And so now that we got the whole like how I became a Sonic fan. So let's move to how I started becoming a Sonic YouTuber. Now let's start with this YouTube channel. Used to exist back in 2021, and it was a Grand Theft Auto YouTube. And if you go on my earliest uploads on the channel, you're easily gonna see that I used to be a Sonic YouTuber. I'm sorry, a GTA YouTuber. But of course, Grand Theft Auto YouTube, the thing about that is basically impossible to get into that because it's like stupidly oversaturated, and everybody and their grandma makes Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So it's a good thing I kind of like shifted away from that. But when GTA 6 comes out though, I want to be the face of GTA 6 gaming. But we'll see what happens, of course. But anyways, so basically I transitioned to a Sonic tuber about 2021 October, because at the time I was watching Sonic fan made content, Sonic fan animations, as well as other content creators around Sonic who make very similar YouTube videos as I do. And that kind of like, I was like, it pushed me to want to start making Sonic the Hedgehog content. However, the thing that started my YouTube channel was a G Fuel can, or two of them actually, two G Fuel cans of Sonic and Knuckles. So one day I went to GNC and I bought a Sonic and Knuckles G Fuel, and at the time also I was in several different Sonic the Hedgehog communities on Reddit and Facebook. And basically I bought the G Fuel cans and I took a picture of them in my car. I think the whole thing was that I found the Knuckles G Fuel and it was rare or something like that. But I took a picture of them in my car and I posted on this Facebook community and Reddit as well. And that post blew up. I'm talking like it got like 3,000 reactions and likes within like 2 days, something like that, something crazy, something absurd like that. And then to myself, like I never had anything like that ever in my life before, so that was just absolutely just bonkers. And then I decided, maybe I can make a YouTube video taste testing the G Fuels, and I can plug that YouTube video through that Facebook post. So that's exactly what I did. However, what happened was I made the YouTube video about the G Fuel cans or G Fuels that are taste testing them. And I linked that video on that exact post, meaning I pressed edit to post and I put the link in there. Now, the group moderators of that Sonic community did not like it whatsoever. They did not like that I was plugging my YouTube video. So what they ended up doing was completely deleting my post about the G Fuels, the one that blew up. So what happened was my YouTube video that I made about it was a flop because of that. So I think the most views I got on that video was like 300 views, but that did not stop me. So at that time I was like lost, or, I was, kind of like, I really want the Sonic stuff to work because clearly it worked already, right? The Facebook post that I made blew up to like 3,000 likes or whatever. So at the time, it was right around the corner of Sonic Prime being released on Netflix and Sonic Frontiers. I think those two came out like in the same month or something like that. Or actually, no, like Sonic Frontiers came out in November and Sonic Prime came out in December. Yes, that's about right. So all this was happening in about October. So around the time, Sonic Prime trailers were popping off. They were hot. So I was like, wait a minute, what if I make an analysis video talking about the Sonic Prime trailers? So that's exactly what I did. And I made the video, and day one, I got 1,000 views. Just like that. And I was like, holy shit, like, what is actually going on? Like, I was just like, just shocked. And that motivated me. That, drove me to make another YouTube video. And I think right after I made a YouTube video about Sonic Frontiers, because that was about to come out as well. And that video was a flop. I think it peaked out like at 300 views or something like that. But I was still locked in. And I posted another YouTube video. I said, okay, let's make another Sonic YouTube video. So at that point, I made a video about Sonic Boom because I just finished watching the series of Sonic Boom. And personally, I liked it a lot. And that video was talking about my experience watching Sonic Boom. Like, I liked it and all that good stuff. And that video got 3,000 views in like 2 days. So at that point, I was locked in. I knew that I was a Sonic content creator, and I kind of just accepted it and went with it. Because that's the thing about YouTube. Like, YouTube, a lot of people say that they do what they want on YouTube, and they pick their niche. But honestly, I'm a really strong believer in YouTube picks your niche for you, because think about it. Like, I've made several dozens of YouTube channels in the past about different stuff like games, fashion, finance, things like that. And I put quality work into those channels. However, I got nowhere with those channels, meaning like I think the most subscribers I ever got from one of those channels was about like 75 subscribers, which is nothing, especially compared to now, how much subscribers I have right now and how fast it's growing. There's no comparison. So the YouTube gods, if you will, picked my niche for me, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. However, personally, I do not mind, because if you can tell by my background, I love Sonic the Hedgehog a lot. So, not too mad about it. However, as a YouTuber or content creator, you kind of eventually have to branch out to other types of content, whether it's a different video game, different series, whatever the case may be. And this goes with every content creator. Like there'll be some people out there that say that you have to pick your niche on YouTube and stick with it no matter what. However, I think that's definitely not the case. If you look at every single big YouTuber out there, they all started doing something and then ended up doing what they do now. For example, Mr. Beast, for example, he started as a Minecraft YouTuber, just doing Minecraft videos. Similar to me, I'm just doing Sonic the Hedgehog videos. Excuse me. And he had to branch out to other stuff. Now, if you look at what he does now, he doesn't do Minecraft videos, Actually, he doesn't do Minecraft videos like at all. And the difference between that and me is no matter what I do in the future, I'm going to keep Sonic in the realm of what I do. So I could be making videos about all these different video games in the future. However, I'm always going to make the effort to make Sonic the Hedgehog content, because not only that's what you guys came for, right? But I love Sonic. I love Sonic a lot. And it's just something that I'm not going to escape anytime soon. And I'm okay with that. So you're going to see Sonic content on the channel no matter what happens, or no matter what direction that I decide to go. You're always going to see Sonic content. Like, it's just going to happen. But anyways, so yeah, that's basically how I became a Sonic tuber, because I wasn't always a Sonic tuber, even though I feel like I should have been ever since I was like 10 years old, because I definitely would have been somewhere with an even larger audience by now. Even though my audience, I love you guys, as you guys might not already know. And I try to be consistent with the content, and especially now that I'm doing a podcast, that's another piece of content that I can include in the mix, if that makes any sense. But again, so yeah, this first episode of the Hog Cast is mainly a introductory episode. So we're mainly gonna be introducing ourselves, as well as talking about expectations, which I think I'm gonna go over again once more. The expectations of the podcast. So essentially, this podcast is the course syllabus. So for anybody that's been to college, you'll know what a syllabus is, or you might have got one in high school, I don't know. But basically, it's a page of the class expectations. So that's what we're doing in today's podcast. We're mainly talking about the expectations, which are mainly where we're going to be releasing, which is going to be on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And this is going to be an explicit language podcast, meaning we might, sometimes drop the F-bomb or the S word, stuff like that. And we're going to try our very best to keep it around Sonic the Hedgehog, and try our very best not to get too sidetracked, even though it might happen, right? Because not necessarily everything we're going to talk about is just naturally going to even be about Sonic. So we're going to try our very best at that. However, just do know that we are going to talk about some different stuff sometimes, especially as a content creator on YouTube who live streams. Also, like the reason why I did this podcast, because I do want to get used to randomly talking to a microphone and cameras, because I feel like that's really going to improve my skill on live streaming, because live streaming is very similar to podcasting, except podcasting you can edit it, you can edit stuff out, which we might do if something is said or done that's very bad on the podcast, that we're gonna have to go back and edit that out. However, we should be good. That should not happen. We've been recording for about 33 minutes, not too bad. But of course, yeah, so that's basically the expectations. And again, this is the first introduction episode, so it's just gonna be me talking to different cameras into a microphone. However, hopefully next episode we'll have a guest with us. If not, I'll try my very best to try to spice it up as much as I can. But yeah, I think this is a really cool new chapter that I'm gonna begin on my YouTube channel, which by the way is now 𝐷𝐷𝐷, so it's no longer 𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐿�XX. I just feel like it's more simpler and easier to look up, and it rolls off the tongue better because no one's gonna say, hey, let's go watch some 𝐷𝐷𝐷�XX. No, like people are gonna say, hey, let's go watch some 𝐷𝐷𝐷. Like that makes more sense. It's more simpler. And again, like I'm always if you want to or actually let's back up a little bit. So like as you can tell, I'm still trying to get used to like talking to a camera like randomly. Because here's the thing, here's the difference between a podcast and a edited, like a long form edited video. Edited videos tend to be, first of all, a lot shorter and very filtered. So with long form edited videos, you can easily like edit out whatever you want. You can make it sound perfect. And with the podcast, you kind of have to like be on point all the time, and you have to like never run out of ideas or energy. And same thing for live streaming. So I think what I'm doing right here is going to help me a lot with live streaming, which is very important. But the thing, so the difference between edited videos and podcasts is it's more authentic. It's more frenetic. It's more, like I can't filter what I'm saying. Like whatever comes out of my mouth into this microphone is what's going to go on my channel. And going from somebody who makes long form edited videos over to podcasting and live streaming, that teaches me how to be more authentic to you guys rather than editing videos and making it super filtered, stuff like that. Also gets me, more used to talking randomly, because the more I get used to that, the longer I can go with just talking. And that's very important for podcasting. But the primary reason why I'm doing this is because I want to make even more content for you guys, because there be droughts, as you guys might already know, but in Sonic news and stuff like that, there's plenty of droughts. There's plenty of periods of times where there is nothing to cover or nothing to talk about until like Sonic 3 trailer 2 comes out, stuff like that. So I think having a podcast will fill the void in between those times, if that makes any sense. And the other reason why also I want to get guests on the pod, whether it be other Sonic content creators or even other general content creators, game developers, voice actors, celebrities, stuff like that. I would love to, grow this podcast to a point that we are interviewing people like that. And by the way, guys, if you want to see somebody like that on this podcast, definitely comment down below. And whether it's sooner or later, we'll definitely try our best to make that happen. Whether it's other content creator, celebrity, voice actor that you want to see on the Hogcast, definitely let me know down below in the comments, and that's something we'll definitely try to make happen, whether it's in the soon or far future. And I do also want to reiterate that we're not on a schedule quite yet. However, we're hoping to change that very soon, and we'll have a podcast out every Monday or every Friday, one of those two. But again, we're still trying to figure all of that stuff out. I kind of just made this first episode to get the ball rolling, to get the name The Hog Cast out there, because I just want to get the ball rolling and start this thing, man, because this was one of those things that if I didn't start it today, I was never gonna start it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know that, yeah, we're just gonna make it happen. Like, just like this whole YouTube channel. If it wasn't for me getting off of my ass and actually doing something about it, this YouTube channel, Mixta, XX or Mixa, whatever you want to call it, would not even exist. Think about that. If had I not, lit like a match under my ass and actually made that first video, this channel would not even exist whatsoever. So that's one thing I want to leave with you guys before I end the pod is if you ever thought about becoming a content creator or YouTuber, TikToker, Instagram, or whatever you want to do, just do it. Just do it. Don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Just do it. Even if it's like a little 5-minute clip of you like me right now talking to a camera. You don't even need a microphone. You just need a phone. And just turn on your camera and make content, right? And make it into like a short. There's plenty of free resources to use to become a content creator today. And at the end of the day, if you're not becoming, or if you're not doing stuff to become a content creator, in reality, it's because you don't want it. You don't want to. As simple as that. Like, if you really want something, you're gonna do whatever it takes to do it. When I started YouTube, I had nothing at all. I didn't have lighting. I didn't have a microphone. I did not have tripod. I did not have nothing at all. No computer. I didn't even have a computer. How about that? Like, I had a laptop that I've had since I was like 15 years old, but it wasn't even that great either. And that's what I started YouTube with. And not my job. Like, my mom, she helped me out wherever she could. Growing up, my mother. I'm pretty cliche kid, right? So like, I grew up poor. I grew up with next to nothing, basically. And it was my mom. She worked her ass off every single day to make sure we had everything we needed. So that's, because of that, I was able to learn video editing because my mom I think I was like 10 years old, but my mom, she got money from her college to buy a laptop, and she also bought a camera. So I think it was like one of the old MacBooks, but she bought that. And that's what I used to learn video editing. And and by the way, the first software that I learned video editing with was iMovie. That was the first video editing software I used. I think it was back in 2010 when iMovie wasn't even free. Yes, you heard that correctly. iMovie was not free. It came free with a Mac purchase, I think. That's why we got it for free. And it was in a CD or something like that. You have to like put it in the laptop and install it. And that was the first video editing software that I used. And from there, like in 2013, I moved to a cracked version of Sony Vegas. That's when I really took off my video editing skills. And the YouTube behind when I had Sony Vegas, the YouTube channel behind that still exists. I'm not going to say what it is because it's cringe, but it still exists, and I have all the video files as well. So if I wanted to, theoretically, I could post those old YouTube videos to this channel just kind of as a novelty. But of course, I'm not going to do that until I hit 1 million subscribers. So guys, if you want to see old Mixta from like 2012, smash that subscribe button because there's no other way I'm going to be releasing those videos. And I think about 2014, that's when I moved over to Premiere Pro. So guys, like, I'm a Adobe Premiere Pro warrior. So if anybody ever needs help with anything about Premiere Pro, like, I'm your guy. I've been using Premiere Pro for years. Like, I've been that's crazy to think about. Like, I've been editing videos since I was like 10 years old. Really, content creation has always been in my blood. now that I think about it, because yeah, it's always been in me to just create stuff. Like I think for like a little while I was even like in an animation, like drawings, animation. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, so if anybody needs help with like Premiere Pro or even After Effects, like I'm like a pro at that. I'm a god at Premiere Pro and After Effects. And that's yeah, basically primarily how I make my videos. Yeah, that's my whole like journey about like becoming a content creator. I've been at this since I was 10 years old. And I'm still going strong, but every day I still think that what if I was still consistent at one of those channels that I had when I was 10 years old? I would have been famous today. I would have had a bigger, much bigger following than I have right now. But of course, we can't go in the past. We can't dwell in the past. All we can do is move forward and make wise decisions, right? Like that's all we can really do. And that goes with anybody, any of you guys that might be watching and you might be like, oh man, I missed out. That was my opportunity. You can't dwell on that, right? All you can do is move on and just make the best out of it, right? Like just work with what you got. And yeah, growing up, I had nothing. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have lighting. All I had was that little MacBook that my mom bought when I was 10 years old, and a like a really crappy tripod, but it was serviceable still. But that's what I had to work with, and a camcorder. I actually have the camcorder somewhere here. I don't know, but it was a Sony Handycam. That was the camera that I was working with. So guys, like I was working with next to nothing, and people today literally have the latest and greatest iPhone, and they complain that they don't have what it takes to become a content creator, and they have the literal latest iPhone, and that's like all you need to become a content creator is your phone. You know, that times today is just so different, and now there's AI. Now I know a lot of people are fond of AI because I've heard a lot of people like really like talking down on AI, and I understand that. I understand it. However, it's there, right? It's there for now, and for the most part, it's free. So if you really wanted to, like, you could even have AI do the work for you. So like to the people that are making excuses that they don't have what it takes to make content, there's AI. There's literally AI, and it will do like 90% of the work for you. So like I said, if people are not pursuing becoming a content creator, that's simply because they don't want it. They don't want to. And honestly, that's okay. That's okay. Some people like to live what do you call it, modestly. They don't like everybody knowing about them. They're not, like photogenic or cameragenic, whatever you want to call it. And that's okay. That's okay. But if there's even content that you don't have to show your face. And that's another thing I want to talk about this podcast, is that some episodes may be conducted like this, like you're seeing right now, which is like me talking to cameras, or it might be like this, but with like multiple people. So I like to call that in person. So you're going to see a lot of that in-person podcast with different people. And some podcasts may be conducted on a Zoom call. So it might be a split screen down the middle, and it might be like me and a guest or a couple of other guests talking on a Zoom call or Discord call, whatever works the best at this time. And some calls might be no camera at all, so it might be like gameplay or something like that, with like me having a conversation with somebody else, other content creators. Because here's the thing, like some content creators still to this day don't show their face. So I doubt anybody's gonna want to do a face reveal here on 𝐷𝐷 or the Hogcast. So we have to respect that. And we have to accommodate for that. So if the person doesn't want to show their face, we're not going to show their face. Simple as that. And that just in case, like if you're another content creator and if you're interested in attending or being on a podcast with us, if you want to become a guest, you can actually leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram at 𝐷𝐷, and I'll try my best to get back to you so we can work something out until I create a Google Docs where I can make like an application. I'll put it in the link. So if somebody wants to be a guest on the podcast, they can apply on a link that I'll probably have soon down below. And they could just fill out a form and apply to be a guest on the podcast with us. And of course, we can even send the guest a copy of the podcast, and they could post it on their YouTube channel. But if anybody is interested in collabing, any other content creators of any kind, or even actors or voice actors that want to participate, definitely let me know, and we can definitely set something up and have you on the pod, because that'll be fantastic. And of course, we can do it via Zoom, we can do it via Discord, whatever works the best. It could be a phone call or a video call, really whatever works the best for the according guest of the podcast. But until then, guys, I want to thank every single person for watching the Hogcast episode 1, and of course, for any business inquiries or anything like that, I'll leave my email down below, and you can email us as well for any business inquiries. And we will see you guys on the next podcast or video or live stream. And peace out, guys.